Bum, 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 bum. Tonight we have breaking news as we come on. What the video shows, the controversial second strike killing survivors. Lawmakers have now seen it. The video, the military strikes played for members of Congress. One lawmaker tonight saying it was one of the most troubling things he has seen in public service. Another saying what he saw was entirely lawful. So Martha Raddatz standing by on what the video shows. Also breaking tonight, the surveillance, the alleged suspect placing multiple pipe bombs, unleashing fear in Washington. There's been a major break in this case. The disturbing video, federal agents summon masks, dragging a woman from her car as she screams, "I'm a U.S. citizen." Put in handcuffs. What Homeland Security is now saying tonight. This evening, the scare during takeoff, a bird strike as the Delta passenger jet takes off in the air, the flames shooting from the engine. You will hear the pilots. Just in tonight, for the first time, we hear the 911 call in the Luigi Mangione case. The person calling authorities from another state saying, "We believe he's here," and what was allegedly found. Tonight, the bone-chilling cold, and it's about to get even worse. Records will be set, so Lee Goldberg in the forecast, what you'll face first thing in the morning. Outside Boston tonight, the husband on trial of the murder of his wife. You will hear a phone call made by the husband in the days after she disappeared, played in court. In New York City, the dramatic high-speed chase, a driver speeding down the highway, going the wrong way. The images coming in right now, the window washers left dangling, at least 15 stories up, the terrifying scene. Also tonight, here the images, the black lab found a half-mile out to sea. They used her air tag to find her, how they rescued the dog drifting away in the water. And tonight here, we remember a songwriter and guitarist sitting on the dock of the bay. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir. Good evening. We do begin tonight here with news on the video of that controversial second deadly strike killing survivors on an alleged drug boat off Venezuela. Lawmakers have now seen it tonight. What the public has seen is this video right here, the first of the U.S. military strikes on that boat. Tonight, behind closed doors, members of Congress were shown the entire video, 4 strikes in all. The second strike killing the survivors. Tonight, one lawmaker saying it was one of the most troubling things he has seen in public service. Another saying what he saw was entirely lawful. Martha Raddatz leading us off.
Tonight on Capitol Hill, Admiral Mitch Bradley, the commander who directed this attack on a suspected drug boat and follow-up strikes that killed 2 survivors. The admiral giving a quick nod when asked if he stands by his actions.
Admiral, do you stand by your actions?
Behind closed doors, Bradley and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane briefing lawmakers on the operation, which they revealed included the initial attack and then 3 follow-up strikes, killing the survivors.
In a second strike, they were killed, and in a third and fourth strike, the boat was sunk.
Lawmakers watched video of the strikes emerging with starkly different impressions.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service.
Democrat Congressman Jim Himes describing that second strike as an attack on shipwrecked sailors, something that would violate the laws of war.
You have 2 individuals in clear distress, without any means of locomotion, with a destroyed vessel, who were killed by the United States.
Congressman Adam Smith telling ABC's Jay O'Brien what he saw.
2 people without their shirts on top of the bow of a capsized boat. There's a tiny little portion of the boat that was above the water. And they were there, just there.
But the Republican chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Tom Cotton, says he saw something very different.
I saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs down for the United States, back over, so they could stay in the fight.
Cotton calling the strikes righteous and entirely lawful.
I didn't see anything disturbing about it.
Lawmakers of both parties say Admiral Bradley told them Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth did not give an order at the mission's outset to kill everyone aboard the boat. Hegseth says he only watched the first strike and didn't learn about the others until hours later.
I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting.
But Senator Cotton says the strikes were over in a matter of minutes.
I mean, they're several minutes apart. You had obscurance, both the smoke from the first strike and then cloud cover as well. I couldn't tell you exactly how long.
But minutes,
they weren't I think minutes.
Tonight, Democrats are calling on the administration to release the entire video, something President Trump has said he would do.
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
So, David, we've all seen the video of that first strike. Democrats and Republicans giving very different versions of what happened next. And again, President Trump says he will release the entire video for the American public to see. The question tonight, David, when will that happen? David?
Martha Raddatz leading us off with the breaking news. Martha, thank you. Also, just in tonight, for the first time, we are now hearing the 911 call in the Luigi Mangione case. The person calling authorities from another state saying, "We believe he's here." It was 1 year ago today the United Healthcare CEO was gunned down in Manhattan. Here's our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, tonight.
Tonight, exactly 1 year after the assassination-style killing of United Healthcare Chief Executive Brian Thompson on a New York City street, we are hearing the 911 call from the manager at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
I have a customer here that some other customers were suspicious of, that he looks like the CEO shooter of New York.
After customers say they spotted a man who resembled the suspect captured on surveillance video.
Is this individual still there? Yes, he's still in the back of our lobby by the bathroom. Like 6 customers walked up to me and I was like, okay guys, I can't really do anything. But he's wearing a black sweater jacket with a medical mask and a tan khaki colored beanie. The only thing you can see is his eyebrows.
Today, accused murderer Luigi Mangione sat huddled with his defense team, fighting to get critical evidence against him thrown out. Mangione's defense says police had no warrant or reason to search the bag, where police say they found a gun and a journal. In court today, Mangione watching as prosecutors played blurred video of him peeling off his clothes before officer cameras are turned off during a strip search. Police later seen on body camera footage pulling what they say appears to be a to-do list from Mangione's pockets with items like USB, digital cam, and a map of streets, along with notes, survival kit, hot meal, and water bottles. Here we are, David, 1 year to the day since Brian Thompson's murder, and Luigi Mangione is seated here in court in part, as you heard on that 911 call, because McDonald's customers in Pennsylvania said they recognized his eyebrows after police blasted his photo all over the country. David?
Aaron Katursky in Lower Manhattan tonight. Aaron, thank you. Tonight, there's also been a major break after those pipe bombs unleashed fear in Washington, D.C. The surveillance, you'll remember, the alleged suspect placing multiple pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters. Well, 5 years later, this major break from poring over that video again. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, now.
Tonight, after nearly 5 years of frustration, trying to track down this shadowy figure who was seen on surveillance planting pipe bombs in Washington, D.C., the FBI says they have their man.
Early this morning, Brian Cole Jr. was arrested and charged with placing the pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC on January 5th, 2021.
The 30-year-old Cole now in custody. Law enforcement swarming the home where he lives with his parents in the D.C. suburbs.
That's probably the last person you would expect.
The FBI says the potentially lethal bombs were discovered outside the headquarters of both the Democratic and Republican National Committees. Just minutes before hundreds of Donald Trump supporters breached barricades and stormed the Capitol, adding to the chaos and straining police resources.
We are dealing with an individual who is alleged to have made bombs. We cannot do this sort of takedown in haste because it endangers the lives of law enforcement.
For years, it seemed all authorities had to go on were the bombs and these grainy videos showing a suspect in that gray hooded sweatshirt, a mask, a distinctive gait, and a pair of Nike shoes with a yellow logo. Authorities said the arrest came not from a new tip, but combing back through millions of pieces of evidence they already had, including cell phone data that allegedly places a phone used by Cole along the routes the day the bombs were planted, a photo that allegedly places his vehicle near the crime scene, and financial transactions they say show Cole bought materials from an area Home Depot that could be used to make bombs.
This case involved millions of pieces of data. And it is a huge win because it was like finding a needle in a haystack.
Cole's grandmother telling ABC News the family is completely shocked and that her grandson, quote, wouldn't hurt a fly. Cole faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted, and David, he's due in court as early as tomorrow.
Pierre Thomas, who has covered this case for years. Pierre, thank you. Now to disturbing images tonight showing ICE agents dragging a woman from her car in Florida. She is heard screaming for help, telling authorities, "I'm a U.S. citizen." She was placed in handcuffs. She was a U.S. citizen, and what Homeland Security is now saying. Here's Victor Akendo with the video tonight.
Tonight, dramatic video showing a woman being pulled from a car during a Border Patrol operation in Key Largo, Florida, screaming she is a U.S. citizen. The woman pulled over during a traffic stop yesterday morning. Video capturing her struggling with law enforcement, who then pick her up and carry her to a grassy area where she is handcuffed. Despite screaming she is a citizen, the woman is restrained and carried into an unmarked vehicle. The Department of Homeland Security telling ABC News the woman was driving her boyfriend's car, who is an undocumented immigrant, stating she was removed from the vehicle and briefly held while her identity was confirmed. She was promptly released once her identity was confirmed.
David, that video that shows the woman being pulled from the vehicle was filmed by a Miami Herald reporter. DHS confirmed she is, in fact, a U.S. citizen. David?
Victor Akendo live in Florida. Victor, thank you. Now to the scare, smoke and flames after takeoff at LAX, a bird strike as a Delta passenger jet took off. In the air, the flames shooting from the engine. You will hear the pilots and what they do. Trevor Ault in Los Angeles.
This is the moment a Delta 737 struck a bird as it thundered down the runway during the critical seconds of takeoff from Los Angeles International Airport. You see a burst of smoke shoot out of the right engine, the pilot immediately declaring an emergency.
Tower Delta 2606, we had a bird on departure. It looks like it might be in our number 2 engine. We need to declare an emergency and return.
That flight was bound for Seattle with 99 passengers and crew on board, climbing into the sky yesterday afternoon with flames bursting from that engine.
Okay, Delta 2606, Roger. Understand you just want to return as quickly as possible. Affirm for Delta 2606.
Flight Radar 24 shows the plane making a giant loop over the Pacific Ocean and the city of Los Angeles before safely returning to the airport.
David, all the passengers later flew out on another plane. Bird strikes are not uncommon, but the takeoff is certainly a vulnerable time for a collision. This pilot really had to act quickly.
David, no question about that. Trevor, thank you. Tonight, tracking the Arctic blast sweeping across much of the country. Tomorrow, record low temperatures expected from Chicago all the way over to the Northeast tomorrow morning. Actual temperatures and wind chills in some places below zero. So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from WABC here in New York. Lee?
David, Arctic air arriving in New York City. I can tell you that right now on a frigid wind. By tomorrow morning, we could have some record lows, and that could go from Chicago to Pittsburgh over to Baltimore. Factor in the wind, it'll feel like sub-zero temperatures in Chicago and 5 below in Syracuse, single digits from Boston to New York City. The storm in the south, it soaked Louisiana today, but it's attacking cold air in the mid-Atlantic, so winter weather advisories, Tennessee to D.C. to Baltimore tonight and a Friday morning. We have 1 to 3 inches of snow and glaze of ice in the mid-Atlantic. Could be hazardous travel for the morning commute and a soaking rain in the southeast. At least the wind starts to die down in the northeast tomorrow. David?
Lee Goldberg with us. Thanks as always, Lee. Outside Boston tonight, the husband on trial in the murder of his wife and mother of 3. You will hear a phone call made by that husband in the days after she disappeared. It was played in court, and on the stand, a man that wife had started a relationship with. Here's Rhiannon Alley tonight.
Tonight, jurors hearing from the boyfriend of Anna Walsh, the Massachusetts wife and mother who went missing nearly 3 years ago. Her husband, Brian Walsh, charged with murdering her on New Year's Day in 2023. William Fastow testifying he and Anna began an extramarital affair shortly after he sold her a townhouse in Washington, D.C. in March 2022. Fastow saying the two spent Christmas Eve together that year. The next day on Christmas, Fastow says Anna returned to her family home outside of Boston. Fastow recalling the last time he says he heard from Anna.
I received a text message from Anna. It was a Happy New Year's message right around the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve.
On January 4th, Fastow says Anna's husband called twice, leaving this voicemail the prosecutors played in court.
Anna hasn't been in touch for a few days, so just wondering if you've spoken to her in the news and recently. Sorry to bother you. Sure, everything's fine.
Lawyers for Anna's husband have argued that she died of sudden, unexplained death and that he panicked. Anna's remains have never been found. Prosecutors have claimed Brian killed her because of that affair. But in court today, lawyers for her husband argued he did not know about the affair and Anna had no plans to tell him about it.
She never told you, hey, Will, I'm going to blow up my marriage and come be with you. She never told you that.
That is correct.
David, court resumes tomorrow, and Brian Walsh faces life in prison if he's convicted of the first-degree murder of his wife. David?
Rhiannon Alley reporting on this case. Rhiannon, thank you. Tonight, chaos and confusion during a meeting forcing CDC advisors to delay a controversial vote about potentially changing recommendations for vaccinating newborns against hepatitis B. The panel was handpicked by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Disagreements breaking out over the voting language and last-minute changes. Current recommendations have been in place for more than 3 decades on this. That panel still hopes to vote tomorrow. Tonight, news that could impact the midterms. The Supreme Court now saying it will allow Texas to move ahead with its controversial newly redrawn congressional map, favoring Republicans in that state, potentially giving them 5 new House seats. A lower court had ruled the map was unconstitutional. When we come back, there are images coming in right now. Look at this, the window washers left dangling at least 15 stories up. The terrifying scene tonight. Also, the urgent search playing out for a 20-year-old missing since Sunday, last seen dropping off her father, what authorities are now saying. And the images in New York City tonight, the dramatic high-speed chase, a driver speeding down the highway going the wrong way. How this ends here in a moment. We'll be right back. Tonight, the high-rise scare in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, just outside Washington. 2 window washers left dangling right here from a high-rise building. This is 15 stories in the air when their basket malfunctioned. Firefighters using a tower ladder to reach the workers. No one was hurt. Tonight, authorities in Loveland, Colorado are searching for a missing 20-year-old woman. Last seen on Sunday, police issuing an endangered missing alert for Kaylee Russell. They say she was supposed to go to a friend's house after dropping her father off, but never showed up. When we come back tonight here in New York City, this dramatic high-speed chase, a driver speeding down the highway going the wrong way. How authorities got that driver in a moment here. To the index tonight, a dramatic high-speed chase in the Bronx. A suspect who allegedly stole an SUV speeding the wrong way here, swerving around drivers. Officers eventually tracking the suspect to a parking garage. He is under arrest tonight. A black lab mix named Sadie is home safe tonight. She escaped from a house in San Diego while her family was watching a football game. The family tracking her with her air tag on her collar 2 miles away to Ocean Beach. Surfers then spotting her floating a half-mile out to sea. She'd been swept away by a rip current. Crews then rescuing her from the water. Sadie is back home and okay tonight. Incredible. When we come back, we remember a famous songwriter and guitarist. You'll know so many of his songs. Sitting on the dock of the bay. On ABC. Finally tonight here, remembering a legendary songwriter and guitarist. His music, unmistakable. Steve Cropper was a guitarist, a songwriter, a producer, and played an instrumental role in shaping the sound of Memphis soul music. In 1962, the song Green Onions, the band Booker T and the MGs. It would be his first of many #1 hits on the R&B chart 4 years later. Playing the guitar in the studio on Sam and Dave's Soul Band. And just listen when Sam Moore shouts in the song, "Play it, Steve." Steve Cropper was a prolific songwriter. In 1967, co-writing Sitting on the Dock of the Bay with Otis Redding. Co-writing Wilson Pickett's In the Midnight Hour. In the late 70s, he worked with the Blues Brothers, created by SNL co-stars John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. Steve Cropper appearing in the Blues Brothers movie in 1980. Inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2005.
When I look back, I said, well, I probably had maybe 18 top 10 songs, But I wrote probably 300, 400, 500 songs, so we don't talk about the failures too often.
Tonight, his wife Angel sharing Steve died at the age of 84. And tonight here, Steve Cropper, in his own words.
It's just been a great career,
and playing with some of the greatest artists that have ever lived on this planet. So I'm a very, very lucky and fortunate guy.
We'll have those songs in our head tonight. I'm David Buer. Thank you for being here. I'll see you right back here tomorrow from all of us here. Good night.